guys, this is Lala Legacy and welcome back to another episode of SeaBed. So we're gonna do the second tip that we had gotten last time that we got our tips. So let's go to the kitchen, I believe. I hope. I don't remember. I believe it is, because this is the last one that I have. Complete silence. I'm having such a hard time reading. Okay, let me start that over. Complete silence descended upon the room as Sachiko fell asleep, almost as if time itself had stopped. I grabbed the notebook I found earlier and started reading it from the beginning. It felt a bit different after having heard Sachiko talk about those memories. Like it would lead me back to that cold, dark room. After reading through the entire notebook, I returned to the first page. This time, I compared the contents with my own memos about what Sachiko had told me. I was hoping to find the date marking the divergence between the two. I rubbed my heavy eyelids with one hand, while the other was busy holding down the diary. After some careful deliberation, I picked out a date. I placed the notebook on my knees, and opened it to the corresponding page. I read through the entry one more time, then pulled out a cutter knife from my coat pocket and removed all of the entries after that date from the notebook. I tucked those pages into my pocket. It was 4:30 according to the clock. I gave the black window a look. It looked almost like the darkness was swirling inside its frame. My arm slipped from the armrest, pulling me out of sleep. Sachiko slowly sat up in bed. Good morning. Good morning. After greeting me in a low voice, Sachiko looked at the clock. It was 12 o'clock. Hungry? Sachiko opened her mouth, then closed it again and nodded. We left the room together and continued to the kitchen. I looked for something in the fridge that could be eaten with little preparation. In the end, I pulled out some bread, pork chops, cheese, and salad, placing them all on a plate. I cleaned everything from the table, carried the chair from the corner to the room to it, and made Sachiko sit down. I was filling our cups with freshly made coffee. Sachiko finally gave me a sober look. Did it go well yesterday? I did all that I could. Sitting down in my chair, I put some cheese and salad onto my bread and took a bite. Sachiko mimicked me. One sandwich was enough to fill me up. I was more concerned with sleeping than eating at the moment. Meanwhile, Sachiko ate 3 sandwiches. Do you want me to bring another one? No, I've had enough. You ate quite a bit, if I'm being completely honest. I was feeling really hungry. You had no appetite over the past few days, so that's a relief. I feel a lot better. Thank you. Sachiko took a sip of her coffee. I picked up a slice of cheese that didn't fit on any of the sandwiches. Sachiko placed the cup of coffee on the table, and glanced at the window. The outer part of the window was protected by black bars that were slightly bent at their edges. Beyond them, you could see the trunk of the tree in the inner yard. I couldn't tell exactly what she was looking at. I'll keep this diary for you. There was nothing but disinterest in Sachiko's voice as she gave me her permission. Feelings always fade with time. It's hard to maintain them if you live your life normally. Are you trying to console me? Yeah. That was so convoluted I barely understood it. Sachiko made a cheerful smile and looked at her hands resting on her knees. We started writing that after Takako got sick. Perhaps it's best to do as you say. I'll keep it for you. Also, once you find that your mood has returned to normal, the sooner you leave this place, the better. Still holding her coffee cup, Sachiko thanked me with a nod. I met her gratitude with a smile. I'll prepare a bath for the evening. We ended up chatting half the night away, We ended up chatting half the night away, so how about we let some hot water wash the exhaustion away and go to bed early for now? Oh, that was a short one. Cool, so we can get back to the main story this time. There we go. Okay. Let's get back to the main story then. And load. Nameless disease. Here we go. As such, you can skim through parts of your diary that you are sure you can remember. You will spot the bits you've forgotten right away. Although if you're curious, you can read all of it as many times as you want. Well, maybe I've just forgotten a day or two that aren't even logged. I picked up the old notebook. With that as her cue, Mayuko stood up. I'll come check on you when I have some time off from work. You're worrying too much. Mayuko slid her feet into her slippers, gave me a quick smile, and left the room. Once I was sure she had left, I heaved a brief sigh. Then I opened the diary. There were 3 notebooks in total, including the new one, which only had a few days recorded in it. One notebook encompassed about a year, which meant I had about 2 years worth recorded. I turned to the first page and ran my eyes over the first entry written in my hand. Looking at my own writing was a little embarrassing. On the other hand, seeing my past self come to life on the pages was quite exciting, so I read everything without skipping a single detail. By the time I got to the second month, though, I realized I was taking too long. After that, I started reading only every other second or third entry. Every second or third entry. There were parts that I remembered well, and some that I had forgotten. I'd wake up, do some work, eat, take a bath, and go to sleep. It was pretty much that over and over again. I could only really keep track of entries that mentioned something unusual. As such, I continued through the notebook reminiscing about my past. From time to time, I felt as though there were another me inside that notebook, and I was simply observing her from high above. At times like that, I felt like my past self wasn't really me at all. Evening had come. Around the time my notebook's pages began to be tinted in orange, Mayuko dropped by the room. I was starting to get hungry, but when I asked her about it, she said that dinner would soon be ready. She also told me to try to bear it for a while longer, and only handed me a few candies to ease my immediate hunger. The rectangle-shaped candies came in wrappings of various different colors. I unwrapped the green one first, and put it in my mouth, then did the same with the pink one. They both had about the same taste. This brings back memories. I think my grandmother used to give me candies like these. Where did you get them, Mayuko? I don't remember. I think I just bought them at the store. She meant the small, privately owned store at the port. Huh, it's pretty interesting to see stores over here that don't belong to any chain. You don't see their kind much in the big city. Your grandmother must have bought candies from a store just like that. After some more small talk, Mayuko left the room to prepare dinner. When she came back, the sun had already set. I had finished reading the diary and was about to put some tea into the water I boiled for myself. Have you finished? Yeah, more or less. Did you spot any parts that you've forgotten? I tilted my head a little. Not really. There were a few parts I could barely remember, but nothing to the extent where I'd start suspecting that my memories were gone. So there were no passages that felt completely new to you? No. I see. Does that mean I didn't forget anything this time around? Mayuko slowly shook her head. I doubt that. There are times when you feel like you haven't forgotten anything, but it turns out to be just a short episode that wasn't really important. Or it was something you remembered as you read the diary. In your case, I say it could be either of those possibilities. I see. Mayuko interrupted me as I wrestled with that possibility. I'm sure you're tired, Takako. I have your dinner ready. What did you make tonight? You'll find out when you come to the cafeteria. I followed Mayuko out of the room. I made it a little more extravagant than usual, so you can look forward to it. You remember I'm not a fan of yam and vinegar, right? I hated those things, but Mayuko loved them. It wasn't to the extent I couldn't eat them, but they tended to come up a lot in dishes Mayuko labeled as delicious, so... That Pollock roe wasn't too bad when I forced myself to try it, but... This time I made sure to fix up something you definitely like. Our dinner tonight turned out to be a hamburger steak and fried prawn. I pointed out to Mayuko that she might be treating me too much like a child, although I appreciated getting an extra portion of rice. The next day, my life returned to its usual rhythm. I woke up in the morning, exercised, and did the work I was asked. I ate, bathed, wrote in my diary, and slept. Nothing in my schedule changed much. Well, maybe except for the fact that I spent more time in the night duty room with Mayuko. Aw, that's a cute CG. Oh goodness! She's exercising! Aw! The weather was great this morning. Warm sunlight entered my room through the windows as the sound of radio calisthenics reverberated across the walls. Aww, she's so cute! My hand touched Mayuko's as I stretched out my chest. Today she was exercising next to me. It suddenly got pretty cramped in here when we both extended our arms. Mayuko continued her exercise without minding me, so I tried turning a little so we wouldn't be on the same line. Before I realized it though, she had already turned as well. It's nice to exercise once in a while. Mayuko wore a skirt, so she skipped most of the leg-related exercises that would have been too revealing. You should do this every day! Yeah, it reminds me of summer vacations back in elementary school. Did you have to do it for stamps too? Yes. When I was in my 6th year, I was actually the one doing the stamping. I did that too. I used my usual family name stamp, but the ones with more complicated names get priority treatment. The more strokes, the better. Names like that look cooler on paper apparently. The exercise ended with taking a deep breath. I let my hands fall to my sides. Then I turned off the radio. Are you sure it's not just your imagination? I used my family name stamp too, and I didn't feel I was treated different than anybody else. Your boobs have always been big, haven't they? Mayuko remained silent until I turned around and our eyes met. I think that's just your imagination too. Now that I think about it, I never managed to make it through all the exercises during my vacations. Do you get anything if you end up with the perfect stamp record? No idea. Maybe they award you with the stationary alarm clocks. With stationary or alarm clocks or something along those lines. I figured it'd be something like that. I sat down on the bed. Why alarm clocks though? I get the part about stationary, but... At our school, that was the price for a perfect attendance record. Is that really something a person with a perfect attendance record would need? Perhaps not. Mayuko smiled to herself. You're a pretty diligent one though, Mayuko. How come you couldn't keep up a perfect attendance record for the radio exercises? Our family went to my grandparents' house for Oban. Most other families also go on trips during the summer, so getting that prize is not as easy as it sounds. Yeah. Mayuko picked up a small parcel from one of the shelves and held it up in front of me. Look, I found this in the storage room on cleaning day. It was wrapped in a light brown craft paper and had the size and weight of a dictionary or a really thick book. Upon checking the other side, I realized it was addressed to me. Where exactly did you find this? The storage room on the second floor. It might have gotten there by accident when we were rearranging our belongings. It's not written whom it's from. I think there's a book or something like that inside. This is some good paper. I'd hate to tear it open by hand, so could you maybe lend me a knife? Of course. Without getting up from the bed, I reached out and placed the parcel on the side table. After that, I returned to my previous position. Well then, let's do the laundry, said Mayuko. So many QCGs of Mayuko today! I had a really scary dream the other day. The morning sun filled the second floor corridor with its bright rays of light. Mayuko's silhouette flickered in between the light, coming from the window and the shadows covering the walls. What kind of dream was that? I can't remember it anymore. Mayuko picked up the laundry basket, her expression blank. I was helping her with the laundry today, so I had a basket in my hands as well. I just remember it being really scary. Well, sometimes remembering dreams like that make you realize they weren't all that scary at all. Yeah, that's the problem. I'm not sure I can help you there. She turned to me, making the top sheets begin to slide off from her basket. Oh! I caught them with one hand. Nice catch. Will I get a golden glove for this, do you think? I wrapped the sheet around my hand and returned it to the top of the basket. Perhaps, but try not to go too crazy with the workout routine until you start feeling better. We continued down the corridor, its wooden floorboards creaking below our feet. I glanced out the window through the branches of the camphor tree and spotted a girl walking down the stone-paved path. Sanai? Mayuko looked out the window too. The girl momentarily disappeared among the branches blocking our sight, but then popped up again in front of the entrance of the building on the other side. Isn't that Kozue? Whoa! Kozue disappeared into the West Wing building, her silky hair fluttering behind her. Maybe she went for a walk. I mean, the weather's pretty nice. It certainly is. And a great day for laundry, too. Mayuko resumed walking through the corridor. True enough. It was indeed a perfect day for laundry. So, Kozue might have known Takako. Huh, interesting. A gust of wind swept across the roof, the white sheets attached to the long iron bars fluttering in its wake. The dazzling blue sky extended all the way to the sea. A handful few puddles littered the roof as the only remnants of the heavy rainfall we've been having lately. Well, aside from some dew on the tree leaves. Please hold that side for me. Okay. I clasped one side of the sheet while Mayuko pinned it to the iron bar. With that, our baskets were now empty. I guess we're done. Whoops, I guess we're done. Thank you for your help. This took a lot less time than I thought it would. Aside from a few smaller clouds that looked like torn up pieces of cotton drifting around, the sky was blue as far as the eye could see. I could feel a cool, somewhat moist breeze on my skin. When does your job start? Right after lunch, around 1 o'clock, I suppose. Then why don't we do some sunbathing until then? Right here? Yeah! Mayuko looked around the roof, then up at the sky. The white sheets fluttered in front of a blue background. The floor's still a little wet, though. Let's use the picnic sheet you've got in your room. It's pretty warm today, so I suppose we might as well. Aww. Oh my goodness, they're so cute! Finding the driest area, we spread out our pink polyester sheet. We took off our shoes and sat down. Mayuko took out a sandwich we delicately wrapped in brown paper from the basket and handed it to me. I undid the wrapping to realize it was made so I could eat it without my hand coming in direct contact with the sandwich. But that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, by subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!